The Packers have signed Adrian Amos, and I find it to be a very fascinating signing. He really is the type of safety that can do anything, and he probably will fit that HaHa Clinton-Dix hole that he left last season. Let's get into what I think makes him such a good player, and take this play for example. It's going to be a cover 3 zone, and that's where Amos is in charge of covering, so it's worth noting he's supposed to cover the flat on the bottom half of the screen, so nothing too fancy here. Also worth mentioning that Chicago is rushing 5 on this play, meaning Amos now has a bigger zone where he's in charge of covering. As of right now, he's doing a very good job of staying where he probably should be on this play. He's making sure that no Bill is going to have a chance to get past him. But now if you take a look, there's going to be a check down in his zone right there. A lot of guys would simply just give up the check down and give up 5 yards or so, just because it won't be a big play, and they're trying to neutralize big plays. However, Amos is going to rush in, and a large reason why he can do that is because there's nobody else in his zone, so he doesn't have to worry about anyone else getting past him because no one else is in that area. He rushes in, nearly breaks up the pass, and is able to make a tackle for not a huge gain. It still went for 5 yards, but that play easily could have gone for first down had he not broken in sooner. Really, in Vic Fangio's system that Amos played in last season, he kind of switches between free safety and strong safety. Really, there's almost no difference between a free and strong safety in Fangio's system. But Amos can definitely play either position, and I think he's probably the best at strong safety if I had to pick one, although he can play either position. Take a look at him when he's playing strong safety here. This time it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and once again, he is in charge of covering the flat on the bottom half of the screen. And if you take a look, the Bills are actually going to be picking on him here as they have a flat route to that bottom half of the screen. And really, Amos isn't in great position to get to the flat on this play because he is so far close to the middle of the screen as they're trying to sell as though it might not be zone coverage. The whole point of a play like this for Buffalo is that you have a running back going up against a safety and you're hoping that your running back can outrun the safety. However, Amos gets over there very quickly and makes a very quick tackle. He's able to break in very well, and that's huge in a safety position, but he's also a very smart player. He tends to realize what's going on, and I think that's even more important as a safety position. Like, take this play for example. It's going to be a cover 1 robber, and in a cover 1 robber, the strong safety is responsible of playing zone coverage in that middle of the screen. However, now if we take a look, due to the routes that the Packers are going to be running, they're actually going to have a switch on this play. A bear is shouting over to Amos right now, hey, you take that guy, you make sure you cover him, I'm now going to take away this middle part of the screen, and now you're going to be in man coverage. So now Amos is switching to man coverage, he has a better angle to play man coverage than the other bear would have, so now he's in good position to make this play, but the problem is another bear didn't do a great job of winning his one-on-one matchup, and now it's going to be another Packer who's open. But Amos now also sees this. He breaks in and makes a tackle on that Packer. This is actually a great play. He essentially did 3 things on this play. He first played in zone coverage, and then when he realized he had to play man coverage, he quickly got off that and played man coverage very well. And then when there was another pass that got complete underneath him, he was able to run in and make a tackle. It was a really smart play, and really I do think his strong suit is in making tackles. He's very good at figuring out what's going on and being able to make plays. Like on this play, for example, what Green Bay is going to do is double team that interior lineman on the left side of the screen, and then to have one-on-one matchups all across the board, except for on the edge rusher on the right side of the screen, as they're going to have 2 tight ends double team him. At this point, typically when a center finishes a double team, he would move up to block a linebacker, which would leave Amos as the next closest guy who's getting unblocked on this play. But of course, he's very far back, so one thing you're going to see is pre-snap, he actually runs up and gets closer to the line. He probably saw something on tape and sort of guessed that this was going to be a running play, and it's very dangerous because if it is play action, he could get out of position. However, he is correct, this is a run, and he's able to run in and make a play. He really is a great run stopper. Like on this play, what Detroit's going to do is have a lot of one-on-one blocks on the left side of the screen, and then they're going to double team the interior lineman on the right side of the screen. From there, someone will get off the double team and move up to block a linebacker, and then it can simply send a tight end over to block the edge rusher on that right side of the screen. So once again, the closest unblocked man is going to be Amos on this play. But really, he gets through so quickly. I mean, a receiver is actually going to come out to try to block Amos, but he gets to the line so quickly that the receiver can't do anything. Amos is able to get into the play and is able to help make a tackle, which is really just huge if you have a safety who can make plays like this. It really minimizes all damage as you're having a good run stopping safety. It basically gives you an extra defender on a lot of these plays. This play was actually probably my favorite example of that. As you see right here, there's going to be one-on-one matchups all across the board from Detroit's offensive line. So then they can simply just send their fullback up to block a middle linebacker, and then in theory they can just send their halfback straight at the middle and he could get into the end zone for a touchdown. Basically, this play is just saying we trust that our guys can make blocks, and we're going to hope that all of our guys can make one-on-one blocks at this play, and we can get to the end zone for a touchdown. But one problem with this play is that the bear who's playing strong safety on this one is going to crash in very quickly, to the point where I actually think it might have been designed. He might have actually been blitzing on this play, but this should still be okay for Detroit as he's only covering up one part of the field, so now you'd think that they could just run it to a different part of the field. However, Amos is then also going to break in and be able to make a tackle, and I know you might be thinking, well wait a second, that other safety got there way quicker than Amos did, shouldn't he get all the credit? And he deserves some credit for sure, but the reason I think Amos played really well here is because he's playing free safety in this situation. He's not playing strong strong safety. His job is to make sure that no one gets a touchdown. That's his #1 job. In fact, his real job is to make sure no one passes the ball for a touchdown. That's his #1 focus, is to take away that middle of the field in the passing game. However, despite that, he's still able to find a way to get into the play, even though it was a run. He really does a great job of finding a way to get into the play and make tackles, and this play is another example. As you see, it's going to be a cover 1 linebacker blitz, and what the Packers are going to do here is send a receiver out the block on that edge, and send another receiver out to the top half of the screen, as it's basically just a standard pick play. But what's really going to be impressive here is take a look at Adrian Amos on this play. He crashes in so quickly and is able to make a play. I mean, this is just reading the play very quickly and making a decision very quickly. I mean, if he was wrong on this play and this was actually going to be a deep route, it could have been very bad news. However, he guessed right, or maybe I should say he knew he was right, and so he broke in and was able to make the play. That's really key in a safety, is knowing when to break in. Like on this play, for example, that's where Amos is on the screen, and it is going to be a run. And if you notice now, the second the ball is getting handed off, Amos is going to start crashing in to that side of the screen. He doesn't really do too much. I mean, he did end up helping make the tackle, but really the tackle is going to get made either way. But I think it just goes to show that he does break in very quickly, and he does realize what's going on very quickly. He wasn't in as good a position on that play. That's not what the play called for. His job was to stay further back on a play like that. However, he still was able to run in and sort of get into the play. Typically when you see a guy crash in like that, they only get credit if they make an interception, as most people don't notice it otherwise. But he can crash in a lot. He realizes when the play is going to be shorter than where he's assigned to cover, and he can really help out in a lot of ways. Like take this play for example. It's going to be a cover 2 man, and if you take a look, Tampa Bay is going to have those 2 routes right there. And so at the end of Deshaun Jackson's out route, he could end up getting open. But really what I want to talk about is take a look at Amos on this play. His responsibility is to make sure nobody beats him deep. And since there is a go route in that direction, that's where his primary focus is going to have to be, which is why this is such a good play call. But if you take a look, the second Fitzpatrick is in the throwing motion, Amos is going to crash in and try to break up the play. He's too far away to actually knock the ball out or anything like that, but he is able to run over and make sure Deshaun Jackson doesn't get many yards after the catch. He can also make plays like this, where it's a cover 1 robber, and there is going to be a route right underneath that should be a pretty good play to beat this coverage, because that's where Amos is on the screen, and typically be a far way for him to go to try to get into coverage, meaning this would be man-on-man coverage, and of course when there is a route with a cut like this one is, it's usually a great play to beat man coverage. So now if you look, there is Dolphin getting ready to be open, but it's also worth mentioning there's another Dolphin who's going to be cutting right where Amos is in charge of covering. So Amos is in a bit of a predicament here. Does he run up and try to cover that guy who's probably going to be more open, but he isn't as far down the field, or does he stay back and make sure they don't get a huge gain on this play? Well, one way he's going to check is just by reading the quarterback's eyes. He looks over and sees where that quarterback is looking at, and the quarterback is clearly looking at the guy who's underneath. This now means that he knows he can break in, and there's a very good chance that that's where the pass will end up going. He is able to then run in and make a play on the ball. So really a great play by Amos on this one. It's again being very situationally aware, and that's really what I like about Amos. He's a very situationally aware player, and he also breaks in very well and makes very good tackles. So let's take a look at this play of how the Bears kind of used him to their advantage. Like on a play like this, for example, it is going to be a cover 3, and typically what you would do in a cover 3 zone is have 2 of the safeties who are already back, each cover up one of those zones, and then you would have a cornerback cover up the other zone. You wouldn't do this always. It is pretty frequent that you will have a safety cover up one of the zones in the middle of the field, but the reason why you would almost always do it in a situation like this is because of how far deep the safeties are, and because of how shallow all the other players are. However, what Chicago is going to do here is actually have 2 corners go back to cover up those zones, meaning that Amos is actually in charge of covering that area right there. That's the rest of the play, and really it is worth mentioning, Amos has the most work to do. He's out of position on this play. In theory, typically this would create some confusion and could hopefully force Kirk Cousins into making a mistake, but if Kirk Cousins reads the play quickly, he could easily get a pass out in that area. Now if we take a look, the Vikings do have a receiver open, and Amos, despite breaking in very quickly, still has another step or 2 he has to go to get to that receiver. But Amos rushes in at the perfect time, times his hit perfectly, and is able to break up the pass. That's a lot of what I like about Amos. He breaks in so quickly. I mean, he knows what's going on very quickly and is able to run very fast. And that's really what I like about him. That's really what's key in a safety, and he has those key traits. I think it's a great signing in my opinion. I mean, he's basically now covering up the hole that was left with Clinton Dix, and you're taking him away from your division rivals. I think as a whole, it's a very good pickup from the Packers, and I think he can play in that defense very well. Of course, now Clinton Dix is a Bear, and I'll probably make a video on that in the future, so it is kind of funny how they basically just traded safeties. They still have a lot of work to do this offseason, especially through the draft. It'll be very interesting to see who they pick in this draft, but I definitely could see this working out very well for Green Bay. thanks for watching that entire video. I really appreciate it, and if you feel like you like these videos and you want to see me continue to be able to make more and continue to make them at a high quality content level, a great way you can help out is by supporting my Patreon. It's totally optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. However, it is a great way to support me and to help me eventually be able to do this full time, which is my dream, and I'd really appreciate it. So the link is in the description. It's very easy for you to do, and if you feel like supporting me, I would greatly appreciate it.